Hi, I'm Fergus Macphee and welcome to The Window on talkSPORT. This is our daily show where we give you all the updates to the transfer windows, the moves, the bids and everything in between. This show is in association with our own bookies, talkSPORT Bet. Download the app or head to talksportbet.com if you want to get involved. T's and C's apply and begambleaware.org. Now, we've got something slightly different for you on The Window today. We're going to be doing a little bit of a stats deep dive into some of the biggest moves around. And joining me today, I'm delighted to say, is Matt Furniss, otherwise called Matt the Stat from Opta. Matt, thank you so much for joining us on The Window today.
No worries. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. You okay?
Yeah, not too bad. Now the transfers are starting to ramp up a little bit, especially today. It's always a bit more of an exciting time to work in football.
Absolutely. Well, you talk about them ramping up. There's only one place to start, I think, and that is with Arsenal. Now, fans have been waiting all summer, seemingly, for some movement in the window, and now things seem to be moving at a rate of knots. Let's start with Viktor Gyokeres, because it's thought he's now in advanced talks to sign for the club. Would he be a good signing, and what would he bring to Arsenal?
Well, the first thing here is everyone knows about how great his goal record has been in Portugal. 97 goals and 102 appearances across all competitions at Sporting. Last season, again, topped the scoring charts in the Premier Liga in Portugal. In that competition alone, he scored 68 goals in 67 games for Sporting, averaging a goal every 84 minutes. And that tally is 6 more than any other player across Europe's top 10 ranked leagues, according to the UEFA coefficients. So whilst we are getting a goal scorer, I think the question remains of whether you can compare the Portuguese league to the Premier League and how do those goal-scoring exploits transfer across to the English top flight? Because we all know the English top flight overall is more difficult than the Portuguese top flight. So I think the only major question mark is about that suitability. We have something internally, the Opta Power Rankings, which it ranks over 10,000 clubs across the world. And we can also use that to work out the average team quality of each team in each league. Those rankings, last month when we ran them, had the Portuguese league as the 8th strongest league across the world. Now, the English Championship is actually ranked 6th in our rankings overall. A lot of that is down to, obviously in Portugal, you have the big 3, you have Porto, Sporting and Benfica, and then you have Braga as well following those 3. And apart from that, really, the strength and depth of the Portuguese isn't great. So Gyökeres scored hat-tricks against teams like Bela Vista, Estrela, Firenze last season in the Portuguese league. Now, in our power rankings, those teams are on par with kind of like the bottom half of English League One. So on paper, hat-trick looks great, but you're actually scoring those against some sides that aren't anywhere near the quality of Premier League clubs. So I think that's the big question mark with Arsenal fans.
Because some fans will look at it and they say they've seen him in the Champions League this year, and they've seen him get a hat-trick against Manchester City, for example.
Yeah. I think that the Man City hat-trick at that point in time, I think you and I probably could have scored a hat-trick against Man City, the form they were in. But look, I'm not taking anything away from Gyökeres. I've been a massive fan of him when he was at Coventry. He was excellent there and definitely deserved to move to the Portuguese league. Now, that trajectory that he was following is consistently going upwards. And who's to say that that can't go further at Arsenal? I think that what Arsenal need is a player like Gyökeres. He's powerful, he's quick, very direct with his running, a box forward as well. Loves being in the box, has more touches in the opposition box than any other player in Portugal last season. But the big thing with Gyökeres as well is that he's a fantastic ball carrier. Last season in the Portuguese league, he had the 6th most progressive ball carries, which are when you travel with the ball more than 5 meters in a single move. The 3rd most dribbles attempted in the Portuguese league as well. But it's not just having ball carries, it's what he does with those as well. He wreaks havoc with the ball when he's running with it. So last season in Portugal, he is involved in 76 shots following a ball carry. 50 of those were shots he attempted himself, 26 were chances created for teammates. 14 of those ended in goals for Sporting, and they're both league highs. So that's something we can expect to see at Arsenal, because he also topped the Championship rankings in the 2 seasons he was a contracted Coventry player rather than being on loan. So expect to see lots of that. Chances created last season, he created 60 for Sporting in the Portuguese league, more than any other teammates. So he creates chances for teammates. On paper, a complete forward, really. You want someone to create chances. You want someone to have a lot of shots. A lot of shots is certainly something that Gyökeres brings to the table as well. 4.5 shots per 90 last season in the Portuguese league. So he's a high volume shot taker. To add some context to that, of players to have played at least 2,000 minutes in the top 10 European leagues last season, only 5 had a higher average. So yeah, he is a player who will have a lot of shots, which is helpful considering Arsenal had over 100 fewer than Liverpool last season in the Premier League. So yeah, it sounds on paper like it's going to be a match made in heaven for Arsenal and Gyökeres. Let's hope that Arsenal fans will see some joy from that transfer.
I'm sure Arsenal fans will be absolutely delighted to hear you say that. Can we talk a little bit about his chance conversion as well? Because I've seen a lot of Arsenal fans, when some people have been complaining that maybe he's the wrong guy, some Arsenal fans on social media say, look, Mikel Arteta made Mikel Merino a goal scorer last season, the amount of chances we create. So just by getting a striker of his quality, surely he's going to score goals.
Yeah, so it's not just shot volume. He has, as you say, got a really good shot conversion rate. So excluding block shots and penalties last season, he converted 27.3% of his chances. Compare that to some of the rest in the Premier League. Salah had a conversion rate of 21.1%. And Haaland, 21.6%. Alexander Isak, 26.4%. So he was better than all three of those. Again, Portuguese goalkeepers potentially not as good as those in the Premier League. So yeah, that's something that we can expect to see. He converts a high proportion of those chances. But another thing as well is he works really hard. And that is so important in that Arsenal setup. Arsenal being one of the best teams out of possession in European football. It's such a big thing in Arteta's style of play. And last season in the Portuguese top flight, he ranked 6th for high pressures applied in the final third of the pitch. So he will run his socks off. He'll work really hard to try and regain possession back for your team as well. So I'm making him sound like a world beater. He's going to win the Ballon d'Or next year, isn't he?
You are making him sound like a world beater. Now, I'm going to ask you the killer question, though. Can he be enough to finally help Arsenal win the title? And it's been a little bit of a saga so far for Arsenal fans between Gyökeres and Šeško. Seems like Gyökeres is their man. Do you think he's the right choice of the two?
I think he is the right choice of the two. Personally, I think it suits Arsenal a lot more. The only negative to signing Gyökeres is the unknown of signing from Portugal. We've seen players like Darwin Núñez, Gonçalo Ramos, Mehdi Taremi done okay at Inter, but he was phenomenal at Porto in Portugal. Then you've got Carlos Vinicius, and he scored 18 times for Benfica in 2019-20. Didn't really translate to Tottenham Hotspur. Jackson Martinez, famously, was brilliant in Portugal, scored 77 goals in 141 Portuguese league games, and then that never transferred to Atletico Madrid. So that is the big question mark. Can he do it in the Premier League? It's the new, can he do it on a wet Tuesday night in Stoke, I guess. But yeah, I think he's the right man, and I think Arsenal fans will love him next season.
Fantastic. Arsenal fans, if you're watching this, he's the right man. You might love him next season. I just want to ask one more question on this before we move on to some more players. With Benjamin Šeško, doesn't seem like he's going to get his move to Arsenal now. Where does that leave him, and could he be suitable for any other clubs? We know Manchester United are also in the market for a striker.
Yeah, he's definitely suitable for any Premier League club at the top end, I think. The problem with Šeško is that I guess in this day and age of social media, he's not as an attractive kind of proposition because of the goal tallies that Gyökeres have scored. Šeško is a lot more, I guess, central than Gyökeres will be. Gyökeres will drift quite wide to the left, as he has done both Coventry and Sporting. I think Šeško now is being linked, as everyone does when they don't get the club they want, to the Saudi Arabian League. So we might see a move there, but there's nothing wrong with staying in the Bundesliga for another season and then waiting for that right move. I think Leipzig will be challenging for the Champions League spot next season again. And it could be one of those ones where he needs to bide his time and wait for that right move. I don't think Man United will be the right move for him, as probably a lot of players probably thinking right now. So I think it's one that he's better off waiting and for that right move. And who knows, Arsenal might want to add another striker next summer.
Wow. Any guesses who?
No, I don't know. I think this year they'll be happy with the transfer business that they are making now, reported to be making. And I think you never know if Gabriel Jesus moves on. Kai Havertz, you never really know with Kai Havertz, do you? Doesn't work out. It could be one that in a year's time, with Šeško being the age that he is, would be one they look for in the future. Some of these transfers take quite a long time to materialise, and I think that might be the right move for Šeško rather than kind of rushing a move this summer.
All right, let's move on from someone Arsenal might sign to someone they actually have signed. It seems like Martin Zubimendi, it's been happening for about 4 months or so now. Finally, he's made the move from Real Sociedad. He's another central defensive midfielder, which, some Arsenal fans might see that and sort of turn their nose up at it straight away. But Opta have written a piece that said that he could be the key to freeing up Rice and Ødegaard.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this is a player that Liverpool courted last summer, really wanted him, but they settled on Ryan Gravenberch in that number 6, a new role for him, and he flourished in that. And I think that Zubimendi could be that player that could actually go on and help Arsenal finally achieve the title win that they desire, similar to what Gravenberch did at Liverpool last season. I think that what they've got here is a player that he's not going to be one of those players that will rack up spectacular goal or assist tallies, etc. He's not a player you want in your fantasy football team, I would say. But what he is, he's a facilitator, and he was an exceptional defensive midfielder that will help link up that defensive midfield, but also enable players like Rice, Ødegaard to move further up the pitch and show what they showed in stages last season, chipping in with goals that are much needed in that Arsenal side around the team. I mean, last season, without obviously Gyökeres coming in, they would rely heavily on goals from midfield, and it's something they've done for quite a while. They never had a real out-and-out striker who was a 25-goal-a-season striker that maybe Isak could be, or Salah has proved to be, etc. So getting goals across the team, he will sit in that number 6 role, protect that already really solid Arsenal defence, but even further. And he's going to be that player that I think shows how important that positional sense is in that role as well. He's a very intelligent player. He's not scared to make difficult passes. He's not someone who will make 100, 110 passes a game, like some defensive midfielders may be. He's very clever with his movement. He's always next to the player with the ball. He was very good at recovering the ball from opposition as well. Last season, we'll look at his ability to make line-breaking passes, those passes that kind of split defenses open, split midfields open. And last season in the La Liga, his tally of 238 line-breaking passes was only bettered by 3 midfielders, and all of those played for Real Madrid. So he's going to be a player that you'll see consistently breaking opposition midfield lines, making line-breaking passes to the final third for those players like Gyökeres, hopefully for Arsenal fans, to be ran onto. His MO is kind of like making the collective better, more cohesive. He's a team player, and he could be a game changer for Arsenal this season.
So in terms of like other people maybe in that position, is he less sort of, let's say, N'Golo Kante breaking things up and more sort of Busquets connecting the play?
Well, he does break things up as well. I think you'll find that he's got an above-average duels record. He wins his one-on-one battles as well. He's 5'11", so he's not a physically dominant player, but he's a very intelligent player, so he often doesn't need to do that.
He's not a Rodri. He's not a sort of over 6 foot.
I don't think anyone's a Rodri. I think it's a difficult one to play, but I think he's going to be as important for Arsenal as Rodri is for Man City, and I think it's fair to say that. Because we know what Declan Rice and Martin Ødegaard can bring to that side, and if they have somebody who can enable them to play to their strengths and push further up the pitch, that is so important to Arsenal. So he's probably the next best thing that Arsenal could get, other than miraculously be able to sign Rodri from Man City. So it's one we're really going to look forward to seeing this season. And also the transfer that seems to be confirmed today by sources is Christian Morgard from Brentford, which will work really well as a kind of, I don't want to say he can be a backup to Zubimendi, but he's another option in there. And what is really important for Arsenal is that squad depth. They're going to be fighting to win a trophy this season. They saw Spurs come win a trophy last year without doing so themselves, come so close in the Champions League, obviously came up against the exceptional side in PSG and fell short. But this season, there's a really good chance that if they strengthen that squad, they have a bit of luck with injuries as well, because last season was really unlucky with, obviously Staka spent a bit of time out. Kai Havertz spent some time out. Gabriel Jesus, Martin Odegaard, Gabriel at the back as well. All key players to that Arsenal side. So, just moving on to Norgard a little bit more there as well. He's a bit of a different player to Zubimendi in that he's got that Premier League experience. You know that he's kind of ready-made for the competition, will fit really well in there. But also, he was Brentford's club captain for 2 years. So you've got that leadership quality as well. What is a pretty young squad, Arsenal. And we all know Arsenal's big thing, set pieces. And to have a player as good in the air as Morgard as well this season, he had an aerial success rate of 61.9, which is well above the average for a Premier League midfielder. But more importantly, at set pieces, Morgard ranks second behind Nathan Collins for first contacts of both attacking and defensive corners. So he was a player that will always be targeted at set pieces, but also a reliable player in defence as well. So expect him to bring kind of one of those, I want to say like a special teams player. I guess he's one of those players that Arsenal need a player to shut up shop a little bit more. They want to play in a low block, which Brentford did more often than any other team last season. They've got a player there who is adept at doing that. And also, Furniss' 5 goals last season came from set pieces. 9 of his 11 career Premier League goals have come via dead ball situations as well. So Morgard, Zubimendi, those two defensive midfielders coming into Arsenal are going to really change things from this season. And not only being kind of like an individual talent, but kind of allow those more creative players to do what they do best at Arsenal. And maybe, you never know, win them the title this season.
Thank you. I was just going to ask about that final point. Yeah, these are two defensively minded players, but I don't want to upset Arsenal fans, but I think they'll accept that some points last season, they were pretty stodgy to watch. Right. So these two players, even though they're defensively minded, might actually help them become a better creative force going forward.
Yeah. I think a lot of the time we see attack win games, but defenses win titles, and shoring up what is, I would say, arguably the best defense in the Premier League. I don't think it's a real out there shout to say that. The numbers back that up as well. To add in a defensive midfielder to protect that even further, but a ball playing players as well. It's actually a fairly exciting prospect for Arsenal fans and a scary prospect for opposition teams this season.
Right, we'll move on to some attacking players. Again, it's Arsenal again. Apologies to everyone watching the window. This is turning out to be a bit of an Arsenal special.
I'll go and put my Arsenal shirt on. I'll just quickly...
We know the club are in the market for a winger, but which winger? That's the question. Originally, there was talk about Rodrigo. That kind of seems unlikely. Eberechi Eze from Crystal Palace. And Noni Madueke has emerged as something of perhaps a surprise front runner. How do you think those potential candidates compare, and would they be good fits at Arsenal?
All three would be good fits. I think that it's kind of what it's what they think they can get here. I personally don't think Eze will leave Palace yet. I think he'll probably stay for another season. Rodrigo, there's been a lot of talk of him leaving with Xavier Alonso coming in. Also, I don't think he's played any minutes at the Club World Cup. If he has, then there'll be very limited minutes at the Club World Cup. And Rodrigo's a player that is exceptionally hardworking, a very intelligent player, can play on the left or right, but has been kind of left to play on the right because Vinicius Jr. is not going to be left out of that Real Madrid side. And Jude Bellingham said in an interview at the end of last season how he says Rodrigo is actually suited to playing left. He's better on the left. And Arsenal need probably a better left winger than Martinelli, if truth be told, to really challenge for titles. Now, that's not obviously criticising Martinelli too much. I think Martinelli is a good player, but I think if you want to win Premier League titles or Champions League titles, you probably need a player who could take the slack of Saka a little bit more. But also, Rodrigo, as you say, can play on both right and left and could be a backup to Saka. So, yeah, that one will be interesting. But I don't think he'll leave Real Madrid. I think Xavi Alonso will want him.
Would each of them, any of those three, be an upgrade on Martinelli?
Yes. Yeah, I think so. I think, for me, I think Madueke is the most exciting of the three as a prospect, because there are times when you look at Madueke and he looks like he's ready to break out and become a top class player. Now at Chelsea, he's not going to get those minutes this season to play regularly. Well, I don't think any Chelsea player is really, but the worry kind of is he going from being back up at Chelsea to being back up at Arsenal because he's predominantly a right-sided midfielder. But he ended last season on the left side, and he's been playing at the Club World Cup coming on the left as well. And the thing about Madueke is like he is another high-volume shot taker, 3.5 shots per 19. I think that was 5th most in the whole division last season. He consistently gets in dangerous positions as well. His 0.42 non-penalty XG was the 3rd highest among non-strikers last season. Exceptional movement as well. And this is going to sound like a stat I just made up, but it's not. It does exist. He is the 2nd highest player in terms of receiving passes from the out to in off the ball runs. So he's great from starting off the wing, cutting in, and that will tally up with those great line-breaking passes from players like Odegaard, Rice, and Zubimendi as well. So those kind of through balls where Noni Madueke can run onto, that's the thing that we'll probably see quite often if he does join Arsenal next season. So only 6 players made up more off-the-ball runs ending in the penalty area last season of non-centre forwards as well. So he's one of those players who will get in great positions with his off-the-ball runs, very clever runner off the ball. And also can use both feet, really strong with his left and right foot. And I mean, he had 65.8% of his non-headed shots with his left foot, 34.2% with his right foot. So he does have this kind of ability to cut in, shoot, also play quite as a predominantly left winger and cut to the byline as well. So he's going to be the one I think that will come into Arsenal if they do bring a winger in. And he's probably the one that I'd be most excited to see at Arsenal. I really want to see him kick on now, and I think he'll get minutes at Arsenal. Last season, I think Saka he played 50% of possible minutes in the Premier League. Who's to say that an injury won't occur again? He's a very young player who's played a lot of football, and they need another player that can play in that position. I think Madueke is a great player to play on the left or right.
It's really interesting you say that, because I think a lot of Arsenal fans haven't been that happy about this rumour. Probably a lot of that comes from the fact that it's taking another Chelsea player. But are you saying statistically Madueke would make Arsenal better?
Yeah, I think so. I think with working under Arteta, and also I think the availability and the game time is the key thing. And I think that if he gets that at Arsenal consistently, and obviously he'll be playing Champions League football as well, either at Chelsea or Arsenal, so he'll be playing more games next season. He's a player that really wants to be kind of getting in that England World Cup squad next season as well. So a move might be the best opportunity for him to do that. And I think Arsenal fans potentially being a bit harsh on that signing there. I think that he's an exciting player and is one that could have a very high ceiling. And if he goes to Arsenal, that could unlock that.
Thank you so much. Right, we're running out of time here on the window today, so we'll just finish. We'll move away from Arsenal. We'll go back to Manchester United. I just want to ask about this. As it seems like they've missed out on Gyökeres, rumours were they were in for him as well. Who might be a good fit for them? Because one name that has emerged, I mean, this could just be rumours, is Dominic Calvert-Lewin.
Yeah. Calvert-Lewin, I mean, this morning it's been reported that Calvert-Lewin, Jamie Vardy and Callum Wilson, all 3 transfers, obviously Man United, maybe struggling a little bit financially, wanting to get players in free transfers. It's hardly kind of 3 names that will excite United fans, but seeing what they saw last season, anything could be better than what they had last year, maybe. I think with Calvert-Lewin, obviously 57 goals and 239 Premier League appearances. Majority of those came in 2019-20 and 2020-21. I think that was under Carlo Ancelotti, who brought the best out in him. 16 goals in 2020-21 was his best season ever. The problem is that last season he got 3 goals and 26 appearances, injury prone as well, which is something Man United don't need to add to their squad because they have a lot of those already. And actually, since his Premier League debut, he has performed worse in terms of XG to goals. So he scored 18.3 goals fewer than his XG would suggest. So I think over such a long time like that, you can actually say that, well, maybe he's not the coolest customer in front of goal. It's not kind of a flash in the pan one season kind of thing. That is over a long period of time. I think he's a very hard worker, really good runner off the ball, win area battles and consistently occupy multiple defenders on his own. He's used to doing that as a lone frontman at Everton. Is he the wisest signing that Man United could make? No. Is he better than Jamie Vardy and Callum Wilson? Probably. But I mean, last season we saw Rasmus Højlund, let's just be honest, stink out of the place up front. I mean, he scored 4 league goals, some chances worth 5.2 expected goals. Not great at getting in positions. Still young, so who knows? Under the right manager, under the right leadership, he could suddenly become really good. But Man United signed him on his potential. There's no real kind of like, not like Gyökeres, where he's got kind of these numbers that are already there that show me he can score goals. The player that was linked to United 2 years ago was Gonzalo Ramos, who was at Benfica at the time and joined PSG. And there was rumours that he's kind of available. PSG are willing to listen to offers. Now, Man United probably don't have the money to do that, but he is a player that any Premier League side, I think he would improve their forward line. He's always struggled for minutes at PSG. I mean, he scored 32 goals in 82 games for PSG, but a lot of those have been sub appearances because only 38 of his 82 appearances have been in the starting 11. But his goals per game average has been better than nearly every player at PSG, bar Kylian Mbappe over that time. His conversion rate is exceptional, 21.3%. It's higher than Dembele, Barcola, Durang at PSG. And he gets in exceptional goal-scoring performances. He's brilliant around the 6-yard box and getting in those. And United kind of need a player that can just finish off chances. They've got one of the best creators in the league in Fernandes. And I think it can't be any worse, can it? Just put some money behind it. Get Ramos in. Go for it.
Well, there's a few names for you there, Manchester United fans, and I'm sure we'll be following it all very closely on the window. Matt, this has been fantastic. Thank you so much for joining us, Matt Furniss from Opta.
All right, it's nice to speak to you.